Hello viewers, I tested 9 brands of AAA batteries to figure out which are the best for camping lanterns, and I made a chart. If you want to skip this whole video, just buy Rayovac from now on. That's what I'll do. There's a link in the description to the data I gathered. The chart here has brand, cost broken down per battery. Obviously they're sold in packs, but I did the math. The average runtime. I filled 3 identical Ozark Trail lights from Walmart and chimed them until they shut off, and then averaged those 3. I did the math to figure out how many minutes you got per penny with each brand. I ranked them by value, which is minutes per penny, and I ranked them by runtime, averaged across all 3 lights. Now I tested 9 brands, but there's really 10 because they came with batteries, and those did better than I thought. So let's go. The included batteries, our baseline if you will. They lasted 26 hours and 10 minutes. Because they have no associated cost, we can't rank them by value, but they did score 6 in runtime. Now let's go through the other 9, starting with the worst value, going to the best value, but we'll talk about performance too. Energizer Ultimate Lithium. These I couldn't really find anyplace except for Batteries Plus and online. The person at Batteries Plus said he uses them in his door keypad because they last a long time, so I had high hopes. But the data doesn't lie. Maybe this isn't a good test for these. Maybe they aren't the right fit. Maybe I got a bad batch. But all maybes aside, they did terrible. They were the worst and the most expensive and the only lithium battery tested. With 3 in each light, these cost about the same as the lights did. The worst in runtime and the worst in value. Next, we've got Duracell Power Boost. These are the normal Duracells. Dare I say, the de facto go-to battery in most people's mind. And what I used to buy before I did this test. Ranking 8th place in both categories. Maybe I got some duds, but every battery tested was purchased, then tested. None of these were old. U-Form. These were the lowest cost batteries I could find. They were on AliExpress and they took a few weeks to arrive. They're the cheapest, but the runtime was so poor that didn't help the value rating. They were also quite lightweight, maybe because they weren't full of much electricity. Amazon Basic, starting out the middle of the pack. Not the cheapest, not the worst, but far from the best. Vonaco Ultra. These were the cheapest I could find on Amazon. They ended up being 50 cents per battery. They lasted almost 30 hours, middle of the pack performance. There's better options out there, but not bad. Energizer Max. These are the normal Energizer batteries. While the calculation of minutes per penny was the same as the Vonaco Ultra, the extra 18 hours of light gave the Energizers a clear edge. Only one battery lasted longer. Thunderbolt Edge. These are the more expensive Harbor Freight batteries. They're still cheap, and they ranked 3 in performance and in value. Rayovac High Energy. These are the winner of performance, on average lasting just over 50 hours, and scoring number 2 in value. They are a bargain at 56 cents a piece. And they lasted so well and so long, this is what I'm going to buy from now on. And winning the value, Thunderbolt Magnum. These are the cheap ones from Harbor Freight. Most people consider, or many people consider Harbor Freight batteries to be junk, but they really aren't, at least not in this scenario. At 33 cents a piece, you can't go wrong. I think the Rayovacs are what I'll buy because the extra performance is worth a little bit of extra money, but the Thunderbolt Magnums really impressed me. Now, a couple things. Obviously, the temperature of my garage is not something I can control, but it's roughly the same. It took about over 2 weeks to do all this, and it was early summer when I did it, so the temperature was probably in the mid-70s, low 80s in the garage. Probably mid-70s for the most part. And a couple other variables. I don't know how long these were in the stores for, but no one really has control over that. But I tried to keep everything as uniform as I can. Obviously, the lights aged as they were used, but oddly, one light performed better every single time than the other 2. Often by like 12 hours. One of the lights, they're all the same, I bought them at the same time, lasted hours and hours more than the other 2 every single time, which was kind of weird. Thanks for watching.